Jason.
Yes, this is Neil.
This is Neil. How you doing?
Very good. How you doing? We're talking to Rock Doctor tonight. Great stuff. All right, so let's start here. Neil Ratner, MD, also known as the Rock Doctor. What do you prefer, Rock Doctor or Neil?
These days, since I'm trying to be the rock doc, and I think I am the rock doc, I guess rock doc is as good as anything, but you could call me that. Neil, doc, whatever you like.
And doctors are always in social, in the movies certainly are always important. How do you find your life as that person of importance, and the people want to know, all the stuff you do, and now there's a rock book on the rock doc.
Well, the reason that I call myself the rock doc is because of the life I've had, having spent time in my youth in the rock and roll business, in the early days of the rock and roll business when rock and roll was just developing, and then I transitioned to another dream I had to become a doctor, and so it just seemed like the proper title to take.
Now you worked as well with lots of famous artists. We see names like Pink Floyd, Edgar Winter, Emerson Lake Palmer, T Rex, and then Michael Jackson. I mean, we have some big names there. How do they all compare? From when you look at everybody. I mean, everybody's so much special. I'm sure.
I think each one is unique in its own way. Um, Certainly, when you say the list, there are so many different types of music represented. Going from when I was with Edgar Winter, it was his first band, Edgar Winter's White Trash. And that was just a major kind of southern rock and roll horn band. And then, moving on to people like Emerson, Lake and Palmer, you're talking about some of the originators of prog rock, and going on to Pink Floyd, very difficult to even categorize their music in any way. And then Michael Jackson, which of course was in a different vein for me, because by the time I met Michael, I was out of the music business, and Michael and I started out as a medical relationship and ended up as friends as well. But certainly being with him was a unique experience, beyond all the others in many ways.
And it's just you're an anesthesiologist, specialist on that side of things, and we all know Michael Jackson, slept with the hyperbaric chamber and all that stuff. Now, I take it you came in after this, the '80s and all that stuff, and the
Yeah,
hyperbaric chamber.
he didn't really sleep in a hyperbaric chamber. That was our wonderful media taking an incident where he donated. He got burned in those Pepsi commercials, if you remember, back in the
Correct.
'80s.
Yeah.
And so part of the treatment for severe burns is hyperbaric oxygen. And I think when Michael was in the hospital, he had seen that and he realized how valuable that was. And so he donated a hyperbaric chamber to the hospital. A picture was taken with him in front of the hyperbaric chamber, and the headline became Michael sleeps in a hyperbaric chamber, which is
Wow.
so typical of what happens these days, right?
Yeah,
These days, back then, that was 30 years ago.
it's like this, Neil. After that's been published, then it starts getting, spread, and people just don't know the truth anymore.
No, they just assume if they read it in the newspaper, it must be true. They saw the picture. Hey, there he was with the hyperbaric chamber.
Absolutely, and another story too. We got of Michael's like that he needed to a physician next to him when he slept, like for being um, putting anesthesia in him, to sleep at night. Now, how true is that?
Yeah, well, that's not exactly the story. And if people, one of the reasons that I wrote this book is so that people would understand that story, because I was very uncomfortable with the way I think most people were left with that story. And again, so I felt the need to tell it. And basically, I met Michael in 1994. And we developed a relationship, and through that, I realized that he had some serious problems, but he was dealing with them the way he was dealing with them. And then in 95, he started to spend time in New York City, and I would see him more often because he was preparing for a comeback concert in New York City to be taped by HBO. And I had seen him, and he looked lousy, and I knew he wasn't sleeping, and I knew he wasn't eating properly, and I knew he wasn't drinking properly. And then about 3 weeks before the concert, he reached out to me, a call on Thanksgiving Day in the middle of my Thanksgiving dinner, and very upset, and please help me, please help me. And I saw his problems as threefold. It wasn't just a sleep problem. Yes, he had problems sleeping, but the sleep problem was much more related to performance, to live performance, to things that he would have to do, a video, be in the studio, perform on a day-to-day level. When he wasn't involved in those things, there was no, maybe he didn't sleep that good, as many of us don't, but it wasn't the problem it became when he had performances, because not only didn't he sleep, he didn't eat properly, and he didn't drink enough fluids. And that potentially created a dangerous situation. And so when he reached out to me, I tried to come up with a solution for that, where, yes, I could give him a little bit of sleep, so to speak, but more importantly, I could give him a major amount of fluids and some nutrition, and at least get him up to snuff so that he could do those performances. And the treatment was only designed for me, in my hands, because I'm an anesthesiologist, and I understood what I was attempting to do, and I understood how to do it. And I did that treatment for maybe 25, 30 times over the 8 years of our relationship. And I think I was pretty successful for what we were trying to achieve. And the only area I wasn't successful is it was always meant to be a temporary treatment. And throughout those years, I was continually trying to introduce other things, an acupuncture herbalist, just various things to get him to have a healthier lifestyle and not get so freaked out when these events came up. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that. But that's really what it was about and where it came from. It wasn't like he needed to have a sleep doctor with him 24/7, 365 days a year. That's not what it was about.
When you look at supreme artists like Michael Jackson, Prince, these people never slept. They always worked. Now, that's a big problem with these artists because eventually they can't keep on going. You've seen the Prince and how he ended up. Like, he never slept, always in the studio.
Well, I think Prince's situation was a bit different, and I think it's more analogous to Tom Petty. I don't think Prince had a sleep disorder. I think Prince was in pain,
Okay.
As was Tom Petty. And I think they were taking, whether prescribed or not, pain medication, which ultimately, led to the death of both of them. So it wasn't a sleep issue, and I think it was legitimate pain. How they dealt with it and the outcome, obviously, wasn't very good.
Let's say, Neil, you're like online, you're on the social media, you're like doing podcasts, interviews yourself, you're like keeping really busy. How do you manage your time online?
That's an interesting question. I try not to spend my life in front of a screen. It's very easy to do in this day and age, and of course, now it's part of my job to do that. But I live in Woodstock, so I live kind of in the country, and I make sure that I leave time to get out and smell the roses, so to speak, exercise. I ski in the winter, and it's just a matter of, making your priorities clear, balancing your time carefully, and don't spend your life in front of a screen. Set aside X amount of hours or various times in the day, but then, experience life. Life doesn't happen in front of the screen.
But a lot of these people today that are addicted, to the computer, let's say your iPhone. I've seen a stat that somebody looks at your iPhone or a phone 150 times to 100, 200 times, sorry, per day. Now this adds, at 2 minutes per shot, you're looking at 35 hours a week, just doing nothing on your phone.
Yeah, it's obvious. You walk around the streets, you go look, and what do you mostly see? You mostly see people in front of screens. It's definitely a problem. It's definitely an addiction. There's no question about that. And I think if people could break that a little bit, they'd realize that life is a lot more than a computer screen.
So let's say for your book, Rock Doc, how long did it take you to write this? I mean, from what I saw, it's very good, and your layout, the wordings, and your chapters.
It took a long time. I was not a writer by birth. I never thought of the fact that I would write a book, and when I started to think about it and realized, so once I disciplined myself to the fact that I was actually going to do it, it's a great exercise for people. One day, at your desk or whatever, and put a blank sheet of paper there, and don't leave until you fill it. and so at first it'll be very difficult, but then you'll find that it gets easier and easier. But of course, I was reconstructing events, and trying to remember as best I could. And a lot of it was painful, I've had a lot of good experiences in my life, but I've had a lot of bad experiences, or let's just say difficult times. And so writing about that kind of thing is very cathartic, and it becomes a real spiritual exercise for you. So, there was a lot of good in it and a lot of bad in it, and it took a long time to do, but I was, I'm pretty proud of the product and how it came out.
Next, we need a little biography. Make it a little bit more hard to do. On the video.
What was that? I'm sorry.
Making a biography next level on TV. A little bit more harder to do, would you say?
Probably, yeah.
Well, yeah. Everything you did, from what I've seen, is incredible, and I wish you luck and success, Neil. And just Rock Doc. They totally rock.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. And, people can get the book either from my website. If they buy the book from my website, neilratnerrockdoc.com, and let me know how they would like me to sign it. I will autograph it in any way they want. If not, it's available in all formats on Amazon. You can hear me on the radio at 3 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday on WDST on iHeartRadio, a little segment I do, This Week in Rock. And my Facebook page, Neil Ratner Rock Doc, where I post all kinds of interesting stories about rock and roll every day.
And that's so good that you do that stuff on radio and all that, because we need more people like that to keep the spirits up and happy and going.
Well, I appreciate that. I tried to keep it all alive, you know what I mean?
Well, you're doing a great job, and I just liked your Facebook page earlier, and I'm glad I discovered you.
Well, thanks. And thanks for having me. I appreciate the time.
All right. Well, you have a great one, and talk to you again.
Okay, man. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye now.